Big news for your Houston sports today is that it looks like the Houston Texans band is staying together for the most part for at least another year. Why? Because there were a couple of coaching hirings yesterday that did not involve Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik. The Atlanta Falcons are hiring former Bucs head coach Raheem Morris. He was most recently the Rams defensive coordinator. The Falcons interviewed Bobby Slowik a couple of times. More on that in a bit. The Panthers, we discussed this yesterday, hired quarterback coach of the Bucs, Dave Canales. The Chargers hired Jim Harbaugh. Only two teams do not have head coaches right now. The Washington Commanders, who have interviewed Bobby Slowik, but it does feel like they are waiting it out for Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. They're also interviewing Dan Quinn next week. And meanwhile, with the Seahawks, we haven't heard a lot, but it also feels like they will eventually hire Dan Quinn. Makes the most sense, especially if they're keeping Pete Carroll around in an advisory role, because Dan Quinn used to be the defensive coordinator of the Seahawks. So, for better or for worse, there is a very strong possibility that the Houston Texans are going to have Slowik in 2024, which is surprising because right after we got off the air, we saw that Bobby Slowik had met with Falcons owner Arthur Blank, CEO Rich McKay, and general manager Terry Fontenot of the Falcons at Arthur Blank's home, because he'd really impressed the Falcons in his interview that he did with them on Sunday. Okay, so Zoom interview on Sunday, in-home visit on Thursday. I mean, what happened? Right? Isn't that a fair question to wonder? It seems like he was on the goal line. And then the Falcons hired Raheem Morris. It does feel out of left field. Sean Mapes, behind the glass, producer of the Paul Gallant Show. I think it's very fair to wonder what the hell happened at the home of Arthur Blank.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is it better? What's the best case scenario? That they really did like him? Because it's worth mentioning that Atlanta Falcons interviewed everyone twice. So
right.
They're open door policy.
Very open door. Open legs, some would say.
So is it better that they're like, you know what, let's just talk to Bobby Slowik a second time, like whatever. But in the back of their mind, the entire interview, they're like, we're probably going to hire Raheem Morris in 30 minutes anyway? Or is it better that he had a legitimate shot up until that last meeting and he absolutely blew it, and they're like, oh my God, let's hire the Rams defensive coordinator?
I wonder if it's the latter. I'm hoping it's the former. Mainly for Bobby Slowik. We wish Bobby Slowik well.
And that's the funny situation, is that you hope that it was like, we can't cancel on the kid. He's already on this flight. Like it's an obligatory, like, okay, we'll hear him out. We'll hear him out. But yeah, I don't know. But it seems like a good thing for the Texans that A, he was in demand, and B, that the Texans will keep him.
Totally agree. I like to have some semblance of continuity. Curious as to what the conspiracy theories might be for why Bobby Slowik, clearly at the 1 yard line, basically went Russell Wilson to Malcolm Butler in Arthur Blank's home. I like to speculate. We're not going to say that something happened factually, but we can wonder, because we are in the speculation game and the being dumb idiots game. But also something to keep in mind, Jerrod Johnson, the Texans quarterback coach, is interviewing with the Pittsburgh Steelers today for their vacant offensive coordinator position. He has already interviewed for the Patriots offensive coordinator job. I would not mind that at all. The Saints offensive coordinator job, the Browns offensive coordinator job, and the Eagles offensive coordinator job. Something to keep in mind for Johnson as a quarterback coach. You want to go to a situation where there's upside so that you can go from being an offensive coordinator to a head coach, or to a place where you're not going to get flushed down the toilet with the head coach when he gets fired. So,
avoid Philadelphia.
100%, Sean. That's the number one thing. Don't go to Philly. Only bad things can happen in Philly. Eagles fans will turn on you in a heartbeat. They've turned on just about everyone that has ever played or coached in that organization, no matter the success. Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb, Doug Peterson. It goes on and on and on. Carson Wentz. Although Carson Wentz, you understand it. Yeah. Nick Foles, they turned on him before he came back and then ultimately won a Super Bowl with them. Like, they turn on everybody in that town of obnoxious, cantankerous Philadelphians and South Jerseyans. And that's part me by blood. Like, I get those people.
Yeah, it does feel like Jerrod Johnson was always going to get an OC job this offseason. It was just a question of, is he going to leave? Or if Bobby Slowik gets a head coach, would he get promoted? And so, yes, between these jobs, I mean, it makes sense that none of these offensive coordinator openings are that attractive, because I think all of them fired their offensive coordinator.
That's the interesting element here is that either there was a parting of ways, and we say that in quotation marks, or it was implied heavily, hey, leave. But
like, the Bengals job isn't open. They promoted internally. I guess maybe the Bucks, but he hasn't interviewed yet for it. I'm just trying to think of which OC's got a head coaching job. Maybe those are the better jobs, because you just saw the last guy get promoted.
Well, let's just focus on the ones that we know he's interviewed for. So, Eagles, Steelers today. Mike Tomlin might not be long for the Steelers. Obviously, there were rumors about his future this offseason. Is he going to stay in Pittsburgh forever? Would you want to go as a coordinator to a situation where the coach might be gone? Like Kellen Moore, for example, Chargers offensive coordinator who left the Cowboys to go there, and then he goes there and he finds out, oh, Brandon Staley's an idiot. Damn it, I'm screwed. So, I mean, he's getting interviewed right now. So, I don't think the Steelers is great. I'd also point to the Saints in the same exact situation. Who are they getting at quarterback? If you're Jerrod Johnson, would you want to work with Derek Carr? If you're Jerrod Johnson, do you feel like Dennis Allen is long for the New Orleans Saints? Like, that's kind of one of the more surprising non-firings that we've seen. And I get it. The Saints did decent this year, but they didn't do well either. And they're in a terrible cap situation going forward. I mean, take a look at it. They are literally $88 million over the cap per most cap websites, which is insane.
They've been in a terrible cap situation for 12 years.
It's incredible, Sean. I mean, they run their budget worse than the state of Louisiana runs its budget, which is also really saying something. That is factual. If we're talking like just about percentages and stuff. There's the Browns situation, but would you want to go up to the Cleveland Browns who, okay, I mean, they had a really good year, all things considered, with a bunch of quarterbacks. But do you want to be tied to the success of Deshaun Watson, who maybe isn't the same guy that he used to be?
And beyond that, this is the only offensive coordinator opening that he's interviewed for that I don't think he would call the plays. I think Kevin Stefanski would still call the plays.
Probably right.
Eagles, famously, Nick Sirianni does not call plays. Tomlin obviously doesn't. Gerard Mayo's defensive guy. Same with Dennis Allen. So this is the one where you have an offensive coach above you. I guess Nick Sirianni is an offensive coach as well. But you're not going to call the plays in Cleveland. So as far as the upward mobility goes for your coaching career, not being a play caller. I mean, I guess Bobby Slowik wasn't a play caller until he became an offensive coordinator. Then he was. You know, it's only the Mike McDaniels and Callahan.
Brian Callahan.
Brian Callahan. So you have to work for a McVay, a Shanahan guy. I'm not sure if Stefanski has that rub, you know?
I agree with you there. So Browns doesn't look like a great spot either. The Patriots is the one option for Jerrod Johnson among teams he has interviewed for.
Because they're bad enough to where they're going to draft a
They're going to draft a quarterback, and you would think, Sean, is going to have more offensive autonomy because it does feel like they are moving on from everybody. They basically told Bill O'Brien, just leave. That's why he took the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. That is a lateral move to become an offensive coordinator at college after being an offensive coordinator in the NFL. So, with that in mind, here's what I will say about the Patriots job. You are going to have Jerrod Johnson, and I'm being selfish here. Yes, I'm being selfish for the city of Houston because I'm on the bandwagon, baby. You will have the third choice at quarterback. Now, you could get it right. Obviously, the Texans got it right with the second choice at quarterback over Bryce Young. But you have the third choice. The odds of you working with Caleb Williams, practically zero. The odds of you working with Jaden Daniels from LSU, I think right now with the way that those mocks are looking, that's probably unlikely as well. So Drake May from North Carolina. Do you want to be tied to the next Mitchell Trubisky? Now, he could be better than Mitchell Trubisky, but I'm just going to be school cyst against all quarterbacks from North Carolina. Drake May, do you trust that?
Yeah, just like Ohio State quarterbacks never work out.
Right, except for
neither do North Carolina quarterbacks.
Exactly. Until they finally do work out.
Yeah.
So I would say the same thing about Caleb Williams at USC, but hey.
And LSU quarterback.
Well,
Joe
Burrow, baby.
Okay, but Joe Burrow.
But before that, yes, you're right.
Joe Burrow had to beat the Matt Flynn allegation.
It's so fun to be stupid with school systems. It doesn't make any sense, but there's so few good quarterbacks.
Yes, that's the thing. Is that most quarterback draft picks don't work out.
But it's fun to do it anyway.
So using the school against them is just circular logic.
Exactly, but it's fun to be nonsensical and stupid when we're talking about sports. Speaking of, up next, how did Bobby Slowik bleep it up in Arthur Blank's home? I do want wrong answers only on the most interactive sports talk show in Houston when it comes to what the hell might have happened where Slowik didn't get the gig. But I think I know the answer here. I think Bobby Slowik was too honest. If you've listened to Bobby Slowik over the course of the year, I will give him a lot of credit for this. He is a guy who has talked about how he's not always 100% sure of what he's doing. And guess what? Anyone who's a first-time offensive coordinator, that is 100% the case. And we heard it most recently from Bobby in the week leading up to the Texans season-ending loss against the Baltimore Ravens. Here he is, I think, just being perhaps a little bit too transparent for his own good.
I don't think you ever fully get comfortable. You know, there's always a little bit of some urgency, some making sure you're crossing all your T's, dotting all your I's, all that good stuff. I don't think you're ever fully there. But I think what really makes you confident is when you just have complete faith and belief in the group you're coaching. That, like, really, I feel like we could roll out there and I can call anything and they are going to find a way to make it work, you know. And that's really what's been fun. That's what's been empowering. They're all in on what we want to do. I mean, it's the offensive group and kind of where we are right now is I think they're playing really good football. And they're all kind of special people. We've come a long way all the way across the board. We've had a lot of people in and out through the season, and really everyone's just bought into continuing to get better. And now, you know, as coaches, we kind of sit back and we watch, and it's entirely a player-led offense, and they just go out and they play awesome football. It's been fun to be a part of.
That first part, you hear a guy who's being 100% honest, which should be appreciated, but in a job interview setting, is that ever appreciated? I mean, we all lie on our resumes. We all lie on anything. Our first date. You want to sound 100% confident, even if you don't know what you're 100% confident in. I think Bobby Slowik was probably very transparent and honest with Arthur Blank, and I bet that worked against him. Just based off of a lot of the comments that he has made this year. And I respect him for being that honest, that open. So that's my guess. Again, I was not there. I do not know anything about what happened there.
Yeah, and it is interesting that both, and when DJ's been in here, he's talked about it. Even we've talked about it just hearing CJ Stroud talk, that CJ Stroud feels like he goes out of his way to actually give thoughtful, good answers, where, I mean, most players, especially most quarterbacks, are trying to do the opposite. They're just trying to feed you bleep, keep you in the dark. Same thing with coaches, and it is interesting that both Bobby Slowik and CJ Stroud seem like they're just very open with, maybe that's, you know, they're both rookies with a lot of success, so they haven't been like burned by the media, or they haven't been burned by, you know, feeling any pushback or doubt about what they're doing, but they both don't go. Like, I mean, remember Bobby Slowik in the Bengals game with the 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, whatever it was, where he threw a deep shot? No, it was a 4th and 1. They threw a deep shot. He was like, it was the worst play call of my entire career. Like, he just got up on the podium the next day and 100% wore it.
And I like that about him.
Yes, I think as fans, as obviously people who cover the team, that is a commendable thing.
But when you're hiring somebody,
it is not commendable whatsoever.
Exactly.
Tell me what I want to hear, Bobby Slowik. We will give you the job.
But with that in mind, that's what we think happened. I want to hear what you guys think happened. Wrong answers only, because I mean, there's lots of things that you could potentially do at someone's house.
I mean, it's staying in the AFC South. And this wasn't a coach doing something wrong in an owner's house. This was an owner maybe doing something wrong in a coach's house when Jim Irsay was visiting with Josh McDaniels and his family and spent over an hour in the bathroom.
I mean, I bet McDaniels, when he was meeting with Irsay, was like, oh my God, I can't do this. And everyone dumped on McDaniels for like backing out on the Colts at the last second. I loved it, first off, because it's another victory for the Patriots over the Colts. But second, because, I mean, if you met with Jim Irsay for a while, would you be a little bit, I don't know, nervous about the uncertainty of your future? Especially with, what's been going on that we don't know about for the last 2 months.
The only thing is that I don't know how it got to the point where he had to back out at the last minute. I don't know why he didn't back out after the first 30-minute conversation he had with them.
Vengeance.
For what?
For Tom Brady being slandered by an inferior organization.
Okay.
What?
I know, because when I think of Patriots Colts, I think of the Patriots winning all the time. So
when I think of Patriots
them
Colts,
getting revenge, I'm just like, I don't know what they need revenge for.
They haven't salted the earth for those losers. Raise another banner for finishing third in the AFC South, you bozo organization. I like Jim Irsay too, but I hate that organization. I hate their fans. I hate that city. We should sell it to Canada for 3 cents. Anyway, hey, bringing it back because we want to stay on topic. A couple of people have suggested this from the 281. Maybe Slowik took a fat dump at Blank's house like he did in Baltimore. That's pretty funny. Another one. This is on the YouTube at ESPN Houston. Slowik clogged the toilet at Arthur Blank's home. How many of you guys have seen Along Came Polly? Ben Stiller has weirdly been in a lot of scenes in movie history where bad things happen while he is visiting somebody else's home. Along Came Polly, great movie, one of Philip Seymour Hoffman's best performances, but they go eat Indian food, and then let's just say that Ben Stiller's got a little IBS.
Oh God, I beg you, please. If you make this water go down, I will sit at your feet and I will serve you for all of eternity.
Has anyone ever clogged the toilet when going to another person's house? Not gonna lie, when I was a little kid, because I used way too much toilet paper, we used to go to our family friends, the Salvucci's house all the time, and I used to clog their toilet all the time. And it had nothing to do with like what I was dropping off. I was a small child. It was 100%. It was the toilet paper. Yeah, 100%. They had an old house, and this happened like 4 or 5 times.
Oh my God! I was going to ask how many times is all the time.
That's 4 or 5 times is a lot. Yeah, I should have learned better, but I was stupid. I used to use a lot for TP. It's because that old crappy toilet paper. Like people, you got to step your game up. The worst is when you go to somebody's house and they have the really crappy like sandpaper toilet paper. That's like essentially. Your fingers are going to go through it immediately because it's so thin.
The ones that like only public restrooms use?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is your house, right?
You can spend a little. It's not that much more. Now, unless you're going all the time or I guess like a natural disaster is happening where everyone feels the need to rush and get all the toilet paper. Morris Ramirez commented on YouTube, he probably wanted full control and was shown the door. Honestly, I feel like he probably didn't want enough control just based off of everything we've heard about Slowik to this point in time.
It'd be very funny if they asked him like, a lot of questions about our quarterback position. We're not sure. What do you think about our quarterback position? He's like, sure, whatever. Yeah, give me Desmond Ridder. And the Atlanta Falcons look at each other like, oh my God. That wrong answer, buddy. That's our little sniff test of if you know ball is how much you don't want Desmond Ridder as your quarterback.
Right, exactly. If you had like a plan to make Desmond Ridder work, like I would kick you out of the house immediately.
Get out of here.
From the 409, Bobby lost the job when he pulled up the video of the Super Bowl against the Patriots and told Blank what he would have done different. I mean, literally all you would have to say is stop trying to throw the ball and kick the field goal to go up for 2 scores. That's all they had to do.
Just run it.
That catch by Julio Jones, the game was over. It was over. Those idiots.
I was going to say, the only 2 plays that they should have run and that Bobby Slowik should have told them that he was going to run.
Right.
I would have run the ball and thrown it to Julio Jones. That's it. First and second down, run up the middle. Third down, throw it to Julio Jones. It would have been more successful.
From the 832, Slowik said he didn't like Magic City wings. That is a controversial take to have in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Arthur Blank is eating Magic City wings. I don't know about that. I feel like rich people don't eat wings because it gets too on their hands.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just what rich people want us to think, that they're better than us, that they don't get their hands dirty when they eat. Maybe in their shadowy parties, they're doing other stuff, but one of them is a lot of finger food, a lot of messy food.
Speaking of messy, Sean, we're getting a lot of terminology for that terrible toilet paper I was just highlighting. From the 832 and the 409, it's called John Wayne toilet paper.
Oh, yeah.
Rough as hell and doesn't take bleep off anyone. Okay, yeah. That's pretty funny. I like that one. More comments. Chris from Sam Houston. He picked his nose. Picking your nose isn't great, but that's not a deal breaker. Sometimes you got a big... I mean, I pick my nose a lot on the air. It's like a nervous habit that I have.
You mean to tell me that Arthur Smith never picked his nose in front of Arthur Blank? That doesn't...
Arthur Smith does look like a nose picker.
That doesn't disqualify you.
The Urge from Bel Air says he had the relations with Arthur Blank's wife. All right, I mean, you would have to be the smoothest person ever to even find yourself in a situation where you could
How old is
pull
Arthur
that
Blank's
off.
wife?
I'm also, because Bobby Slowik's like 36 years old, So there's that as well. It would be pretty funny if he had another one of those Ben Stiller disasters. Have you guys seen, how am I forgetting this movie name? With Cameron Diaz. Probably.
Oh, there's something.
There's something about Mary.
There we go.
And there's something about Mary. There's a really funny scene where on a prom date, Ben Stiller's character goes to the bathroom and he has some zipper issues.
What's that bubble there?
What do you think? It's a...
Well, how the hell did you get the beans above the frank? I mean...
Frank and Beans to refer to your privates. What an all-time line. Love that guy who plays the father in that movie. He's, I think, the voice of the president in Rick and Morty. Fun facts, everybody. What else do we have here? Wrong answers only as far as why this in-home meeting did not work out. I think most people are going to guess like flatulence or, dropping the kids off. Not taking off your shoes. Is Arthur Blank like one of those guys who's like really big into Japanese culture at home? They don't have chairs. So you got to sit at home and you got to walk around barefoot.
Arthur Blank, Terry Fontenot, and
they're all in
Bobby
kimonos.
Slowik and they're sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor. And they all have all these packets about like what kind of offense they're gonna run.
Right.
The defensive coordinator hire that Bobby Slowik's looking for, and it's all spread across the
It would be really funny if Blank was in the middle of like a Japan phase where kimono, they're sitting as you're saying like that on the floor, and it's because he watched like Tokyo Vice or something like that. He's like getting the grocery store sushi. I had a phase like that.
They're not even getting nice sushi.
Yeah, he's just like, we're just dabbling.
Going to HEB or whatever their HEB sushi is.
Mm-hmm. There you go, guys. He lost Arthur Blank's cat. That would be another unfortunate situation that happened to Ben Stiller in a movie in Meet the Parents. Really, that's like Ben Stiller's calling card is awkward humor while visiting somebody else's house.
Yeah. Yeah, with the very attractive, like while he's dating a very attractive woman.
Right, yeah, smoking cigarettes or something like that. Yeah.